Hello, Jenny Topping here from Vero Beach, Florida. I had a day off, part of the day off today. I just wanted to talk for a couple minutes real quick about this cool event I'm a part of this week, and then I wanted to talk a little bit about mastering blocking, which is a subject that comes up quite a bit. For me, people ask me about how do I master blocking, or how do I help my daughter master blocking. But I wanted to talk about the event that I'm at. It's called EDI. It's through USA Softball and MLB. They've partnered together in order to focus in on developing the youth. And I think this is a beautiful, amazing project, and it's run through the RBI programs. There's RBI programs throughout the United States who sponsor kids to be able to play softball that maybe wouldn't have the ability to, because, hi Amy, our sport has become a bit of an elitist sport. So I had the opportunity to talk to a woman named Miss Kim this weekend, and she is the highest female in MLB. Pretty neat. And she's actually overseeing one of the overseers of this whole program, which is super cool. Long story short, they really want to help develop softball across the United States and international, and they believe the focus should be on kids. And so all the pictures and the videos you've been seeing me post this week have been from this cool event here in Vero Beach, Florida. So I just wanted to give a shout out to MLB, USA Softball, for an amazing opportunity for me to be able to be a part of this week here in Vero Beach, Florida, at historic Dodger Stadium, which is way cool because it's where Jackie Robinson played. This is where they trained back in the day, and so there's pictures of him everywhere, which is awesome. So wanted to take a couple minutes and come on and talk to you guys about mastering blocking, because I get this all the time, this question. Again, everything that I have to say is just my opinion. I've been doing this basically since 2010. I've been really focused on lessons, and as you can imagine, I have grown, right, from being a player to now being a coach, and to really analyzing what the greats do and how do they get there. Robin said, I've been saying this for years, glad to hear, and yes, focus on kids. Yeah, it is the game, it is future of the game. I think, unfortunately, real quick to go back to that, travel ball is wonderful. It definitely allows our girls to get better. At the same point, I think that there are a lot of young girls that are not able to play the sport because of how expensive it is. And I think that's a huge concern for me is, and I'm contributing that because I charge money for lessons in order to help those girls get better. So, how are we going to better the sport but not make it so expensive that not everybody can play? And when that happens, when not everybody can play, then we're truly not getting the best, because we're making it so that only girls that can truly afford to play the sport, hi Tracy, are playing the sport. So again, that is what's so neat about this program, is that these girls, there were 92 girls at this event. They were all flown in for free. The whole week's been free. They're part of an RBI program where they play for free, and all of this is through MLB and USA Softball, because they want to provide an opportunity for girls to be able to play our sport, which is awesome. So back to blocking. I get this question all the time. I actually just got off a Facebook Messenger someone asked me about scooping versus blocking. I'm very traditional in my thinking. This week I had the opportunity also to work with, I won't say her name, but a catcher that graduated from Oregon a few years ago. And, she said that she scoops, and that's what she's always done. And she's very good at it, and that's what she did. And I understand that she is good at it and she was very good at it, but not every kid, not every player is an Oregon player. And I'm not saying that not every kid is capable of scooping, but I do think that we need to build a specific foundation. And to me, when they're young, we need to do the fundamentals correct so we can build a good base. So again, we're talking about, we want a subfloor of a house. We don't want to just jump to, you know, the glitz and the glamour of the high-end gas range and things of that sort. I think it's really important that we focus on the basic mechanics, get them to master those things, and then we can teach them the trickier stuff, which, again, when my kids get a little bit older, and I'm talking, you know, depend on their ability level, 8th grade, freshman year, and on, we can start working on tweaking and doing some things outside the box that they're ready for because they understand it more. And that's not to say that some kids aren't ready for it sooner, but for me, I'd like to see them master things like blocking. How do we master blocking? I think the first basic is that it is a choice. So I'll get kids that'll come into me for their first lesson and they're 14, 15, and I'll ask them, you know, I'm just curious, what is it that you want to work on? What do you want to get better at? And they'll say blocking. And I will always say to them, well, you know that blocking is a choice. You know that when you decide not to block, it's because you're choosing not to. And they sort of smirk at me and laugh and they go, yeah, you're right. So, you know, maybe some of you out there have some, you know, some ideas for me, but I tend to incentivize my kids. I used to do it with like burpees and push-ups and things of that sort. Now I try to incentivize them with things that they can earn, like GMT shirts or hats or ribbons. And my good friend has a company called We Are War Paint, and it's colored eye black. So they look forward to trying to earn those things. How do they earn them? By taking on a challenge of blocking balls. So what I've learned about blocking is that there are, as a general rule, there's just some ages that things start to happen at. So when they're 10U and below, very little are they going to get on their shin guards. And again, you may tell me, I have a kid that, you know, she's 10 and she gets on her shin guards a lot. And if she does, you've got a kid that you know, that's ahead of the game. But typically 10U, I will incentivize my girls by saying, if you get on your shin guards 5 times in the game this weekend, you're going to earn 5 points towards GMT gear. And they go, yay! And they get so excited. It's not necessarily about keeping the ball in front of them, but it's about actually getting on their shin guards, right? The reason why I say this is because I'm sure all of you, whether you've taken your daughter to a catching lesson or you've actually thrown balls at them, they have no problem for the most part doing the mechanic right. Now, it's a little bit different when we get in the game. So 10U, I incentivize them in the game by having them try to do it, you know, it can even be less than that. Let's try it, you know, again, just depending on where your daughter is at, let's try it twice in a game. And if you do, you get, you know, 2 points towards something that you want to earn. And then you can build up that process. The other thing is that I very rarely do I use real balls for blocking because I know what it is to be a catcher. And when you block a ball and you take one on the forearm and, you know, it leaves seam marks, it doesn't feel good, right? Hi, Chris, how are you? Thanks for coming on. And so when we get seam marks, we want to, you know, turn our head and look away, and we don't really want to have to square up a ball. So my first suggestion would be, hi, Steve, is to use tennis balls and to roll them. I even start with rolling them instead of a short hop, because rolling them just really introduces them to, like, okay, this doesn't hurt. Okay, I can repeat this movement where I'm, you know, trying to keep the ball in front of me. And as they get comfortable with the rolling, then we go to a short hop. And then when we go from a short hop, you know, then at some point, you know, usually not within the first lesson, it just depends on how well they progress, I'll move to a squishy ball. So something that's like an Incredible, really squishy, even a foam ball, and, you know, sort of progress from there. So what you want is when they're practicing blocking for the first time, you want it to be fun. You don't want it to be something where it hurts, an experience where they're going to want to do it again. So that's 10U. I would say, depending on Again, how well they do with being incentivized, I would progress that from, 5 in a game to more than 5 times in a game on their shin guards. By the end of 10U, you're going to have games where they're going to choose to block, 10, 15 times in a game, and then you're going to have other games where they're going to just choose not to at all. And it's just part of them being 10 years old, is some days they just aren't going to want to work at it, and other days they will. So that's pretty much 12U or 10U. So then we get into first year 12U. First year 12U, you're going to see that increase. But again, you're going to see the same thing. You'll probably see the volume more like 50% of the time they block the ball, they center it up, they keep it in front of them, or at least they get on their shin guards 50% of the time. And then you're going to say other games, you're going to come back in. I get this all the time. Parents come back to my facility and they say she didn't block the ball at all, and this weekend. And again, it's just her choosing not to work at it. And there might be different reasons. She's tired, catching more than one game, having a pitcher that's extremely wild, and she blocks 3 or 4 balls in a row and then just decides, I don't want to work that hard anymore, and gives up on the blocking aspect. So there are all kinds of reasons why catchers choose not to block. I think the important thing is to not be disappointed with them, to sort of continue to incentivize them, continue to remind them how good they are, and continue to remind them of the game that you guys are playing, whatever that might be. So incentivizing it. So that would be my suggestion. So first year 12U, you're going to see it more often, but you're going to still see an influx of it. By second year 12U, by the end of the season, if we're consistently focusing on it, you're going to see that your kids really start to block. And most of my kids, if they've been focused on blocking, by the end of second year 12U, there's really no talk of it anymore. Again, we're talking, 3 or 4 pass balls or less in a game, to even as good as, 1 pass ball or less. So it really becomes something that we don't have to talk about anymore. So that is, that's what I would say the focus is with blocking. Let's see. Hi, Mike. My daughter was a scooper at 6 and 8U. At 10U, after starting with the catching coach, she started to get better at blocking. Now, as a first year 12U player, she does block more, but occasionally scoops a ball. Yeah. And again, it's common. She's first year 12U. That's something that we would commonly see. Usually it happens because we're not anticipating the ball. So something else that I focus in with my catchers on, this takes a long time. I really don't see them truly understand the purpose of it until like high school. But I force my girls to, or I don't force them to, but I force them to in the facility to use a cue word. So when you get older, pitchers throw harder. Reacting to pitches is just not something that we can do anymore. We have to anticipate. And so a cue word would be something where we remind ourselves on pitches that go in the dirt. So my suggestion would be, if you work with your daughter, or if you are a catching coach like me, that you have them work on the sequence of flashing a sign, getting into their squat, and they're saying something like ball in the dirt, or block, or kick back. Something that reminds them that if this pitch goes in the dirt, I'm going to block it. If it ends up being a strike, no problem, I frame it. So it's just that reminder in the back of your head. A lot of times, my catchers will come in and they'll do it and it really doesn't make sense. And one day they're like, I get it now, right? It's just the mental process of catching and understanding that when we anticipate something like a runner on first base, she may bunt. If it stays close to me, I'm going to try to throw her out at second. So that is just the mental process of catching. And so we can do that with blocking. And we really want to as we get older. Probably not something your 12-year-olds are going to master, but if it's something that they work in their practices, then at some point the light bulb goes on. It's like any other type of teaching. You have to tell them it a million different ways. And at some point it's going to click. And when it clicks and comes together, it's amazing. So by second year 12U, we should have it mastered. If not, I would say then first year 14s, it's really got to be something we focus on. It gets harder and harder to master blocking. Not that it can't be done, because we can do anything we want. I mean, I was a left-handed catcher, so I'll never be the person to tell you can't do something. But it just gets a little more difficult to block as you get older, because the pitchers throw harder, they break the ball more, and there's a lot more mental process to catching. So I think that if we can focus on incentivizing our catchers when they're young, getting them excited about doing it, rewarding them when they do it by, making sure they always know we're proud of them and that they're doing a good job. And, it may be for weekends at a time. It might be just get on your shin guard just once. And when they do, we have to praise them and let them know that we're super excited and happy that they did it that one time, which is amazing, right? And the one can turn to two. Some kids right away, you incentivize them and they do it, half the game, and you're blown away by it. So every kid's kind of different. I think the main thing is that if they if they know that you're going to be proud of them for doing it, they're going to try to do it. I mean, like any other kid. So Steve said the relationship between the pitcher and catcher is important too. It's extremely important. I think it's, I actually been talking about this all weekend because I believe it's something that's lacking in our college game. I think that there's a lot of emphasis on coaches, calling the game, which we've talked about before on here. But I think the problem is catchers can read the pitcher's mind. Catchers create a synergy. Pitchers and catchers, they have feelings about pitches. They, when a catcher is really, hi Angela, hey, how are you? When a catcher is invested, and a catcher and a pitcher are invested with each other and with the game, they're going to be way more successful than when they're not invested. And how do we get a pitcher and catcher invested? We give them the game, really. I mean, that's why we all play, is because we want a piece of the game. We want to be able to take that, take what we know what to do and put it into play. So, yeah, the relationship between a pitcher and a catcher can make or break things. And I believe we're seeing a lot more hitting in college because there's just a lack of, not always, but I do see that there's a lack of relationship between the pitcher and the catcher. They've become such robots that we're not getting that battery charge anymore. So, yep. So, thank you so much. So, the focus with blocking is, to incentivize them to use a cue word, to recognize that they're really not going to master it until second year 12U. If not, first year 14. So we need to be patient with them. We need to use softer balls in practice so that they can really focus on the form and not be worried about it hurting. Again, that was my least favorite thing whenever we'd have a national team tryout, is we'd have this random coach come out and throw a hard ball in the dirt at us. And when you don't know someone's spin, and when you have a really hard ball coming at you, it's no fun. You catch a couple seams in the wrist, and the last thing you want to do is focus on your form. All you want to do is try not to get hit. So the same thing's going to happen with your daughter. So if we can eliminate that part of it, again, I know that getting hit in the game is part of the game, but when it's in the game, for some reason, we shake it off much quicker. It's like, I got hit, it's all good. I want to play. But in practice, we need to be able to really focus on the form of blocking versus, is it going to hurt? So that's it for me. Does anybody have any questions for me in regards to blocking, using a cue word, anticipating pitches being in the dirt, softer balls, not scooping? I will say, this is a battle I have with coaches, but if there's no runners on, we don't need to be blocking. It's a waste. I believe that we should be scooping with no runners on and scooping this direction so that we're not losing low strikes. And then when there's a runner on, we are going to anticipate the ball in the dirt and block. No runners on. We are going to frame the lowest pitches possible, and sometimes they're going to go in the dirt, and we're just going to scoop them this direction. Runners on, we're going to protect that we can keep the ball in front of us. Now, there are some advanced, I call it cheating, that we can do as we get older. And with that cheating, I will say that, you know, again, I don't teach the cheating until the runners get super fast, and if the ball gets away from us at all, they're going to take another base on us. So we can talk about that another time. So that's it for me. Blocking, I will post it so that you can share it with your coaches, with your other teammates, whoever needs to understand that blocking is a choice, and as catchers, we choose to do it or we choose not to. Thanks so much for coming on, all of you guys, and watching live. If you have other topics you'd like me to hit on, please let me know. I may even come on again today. I have the day off. The beach is right out there, but I love being in here. I see I have one more question. Let me see. I think what is important is learning the catcher's range for blocking. I do see a lot of catchers strictly block and have a great blocking form, yet can't get to it and the ball gets by. Each catcher has their range. That is the hardest thing for me when I made the transition from baseball to fast pitch and had so much more time and range side to side in baseball, then found myself trying to block balls I could not get to because of the speed. Yeah, I think I always tell my catchers they have to be able to split the outside of the batter's box with their shin guards. So that would technically be if there was a batter in the box behind the batter. I think that does take a little bit of practice. Yeah, I would agree with you. So range is important and quickness of that. But I think if one of the key elements to range is anticipating. So if the ball is pretty much on top of us before we're making the decision, oh man, this ball is in the dirt, and we're caught off guard by it, it's basically in the dirt by the time we do it, we have no reaction time. So rather than react to the pitch being in the dirt, we need to anticipate it being in there and be prepared to cover ground. I also think as much as we can, we need to be catching our pitchers in their bullpens or at their lessons, because we're going to learn what they do when they miss, and when they miss wide. Why do they do that? And so if we haven't caught a pitcher enough, then we're caught off guard by maybe the fact that they throw it 4 balls off the plate and we're not ready to cover it. So part of being able to cover 4 balls off the plate is knowing your pitcher and knowing her well, and knowing, oh my, she didn't close her hips long enough. She's going to hit her hip, which means this is what the ball's going to do, and I need to be prepared how to defend that. So again, knowing your pitchers, spending lots of time with her, knowing what she does when she makes that mistake, what happens in her mechanics. Because if we can see what happens when she does it in her mechanics, we can be prepared for it. Also remembering that when we get a runner on third base, you know, pitchers get nervous and we see them do things that they don't ordinarily do. Why? Because they get nervous. So our job as a catcher is to know that and to slow them down and remind them that it's just you and me working right now, and that it's okay. I got your back, right? Nothing's going to get past me. You can trust that. So the relationship and connection with a pitcher and a catcher can sort of relax them into forgetting that there's a batter in the box. And that's what we talk about when we say that the connection is missing. It's a pitcher and a pitcher being able to look in the catcher's eye, and the catcher being able to say, we got this. I got you. No problem. Take a deep breath. We're fine. So anyways, Erin, thanks so much. I appreciate it. Let me know if there are other topics, again, that you guys would like me to cover. If they come up on my head or someone Facebook's messages me about a topic that I know lots of other people are wanting to know about the same topic. So just know that I'm always here. If anybody has questions about catching or hitting, I'm here to help, give you my opinion. Again, there's more ways than one to get something done. I know that athletes are built different, so I can give you the opinion on how I believe it should be done. And yeah, so you guys, I'm always available via Facebook Messenger, or you know, comment, let me know what else you guys want to hear. All right. Anything else before I jet out? If you haven't been to my page lately, watch the video I just posted of an MLB catcher, and it's transferred down the second. I absolutely loved analyzing I absolutely love analyzing transfers. I was taught one way, and I believed that's how I did it. And the funny thing is I actually did a coach's clinic, and I had a coach come up to me and say, "That's not how you transfer." And I went, "What? That's totally how I transfer." And I went home and I spent some time. Hi, Leanne Ellis. Oh, UNC, nice. I like it. You're working a camp. I love it. You're working with some pitchers, I can imagine. Anyways, in regards to that, thanks for coming on. Very, very successful pitcher, college that I played against. Just coming on to say hi. So in regards to the transfer, let me finish that. Anyways, watch the video. I'm not going to give you all the answers, but watch the video I just posted on my Facebook page, Jetty Topping / Gold Medal Training, and tell me what you see, because I think that you're going to realize, if you're willing to look past what you see on YouTube and what other people say, you're going to see something a little bit different. I'm going to continue to sort of post things for people in slow motion so that you guys can see what's really happening, so that you know, so that you guys are learning the game with me. I think that we all have to be willing to grow and really understand what is happening and to get better. So that's my thing, is I want to continue to grow as a coach and figure out what works best for my catchers, and there's more than one way to do it. So enjoy the day. I will. Thanks so much for coming on. Any more topics you guys have, feel free to pop on and let me know. And like I said, yeah, I'm trying to come on here and give you guys as much info as I can. I'm starting to do some online classes so that I can reach more catchers throughout the United States. So I just ran a trial run. I had about 60 catchers involved in that. And so if any of you are interested in something like that, feel free to message me. I'm thinking I'm probably going to offer another one this fall, where it's something where I film, you know, I post videos and you guys can do the drills and post back. So something of that sort. So anyways, thanks for coming on. I appreciate the support. Any other topics, feel free to jump on and let me know what you'd like to hear. All right. Oh, you're in Orlando? Me too. Awesome. Yeah, well, I'm close. 2 hours from Orlando, Vero Beach. So, yep. All right. Thank you guys for coming on. Appreciate it. Have a great day.